Do you ever feel like your happiness depends too much on others, or you are constantly putting the needs of others before your own, leaving yourself feeling drained? You're not alone. Let's decode codependency and discover the path to healing. Welcome. Today, we're diving into the topic of codependency. And if you've ever felt like your well-being hinges on the approval or happiness of others, then this is your video. Understanding codependency is crucial for personal growth and healing. And in this video, we'll explore the historical context, how to identify codependent behaviors, and the pathway to healing. So stay tuned, because by the end of the video, you'll have actionable steps to start your journey towards a healthier, more independent life. Codependency as a term first emerged in the 1980s, and it was primarily used as a context in addiction recovery. It described the enabling behaviors of family members of addicts. And I want to pause there and honor that statement. It described the enabling behaviors of family members of others. Again, this is placing the blame of the addict on the family and not placing responsibility of the addict on the addict. Okay, so codependency is already taking the blame or the responsibility for someone and putting it on someone else. So you can see that at its inception in the 1980s, in this addiction recovery, it's already putting the responsibility of oneself on someone else. So historically, societal norms have often placed significant value on self-sacrificing and caregiving, especially for women. And these expectations have penetrated codependent behaviors across generations. For example, during the 1950s, the ideal of the selfless, devoted housewife reinforced the notion that a woman's worth was tied to her ability to care for others, often at the expense of her own needs. Now, cultural shifts in the mid-20th century began to challenge these roles, but the lingering effects of those earlier expectations still influence behaviors today. Codependent behaviors often include a preoccupation with the needs and feelings of others. So we're focusing on others' needs instead of our own, and a tendency to avoid conflict to keep the peace, and a fear of being alone and abandoned. So you might find yourself constantly trying to please others, taking on their problems as your own, and feeling responsible for their happiness. I know I have. And these patterns can lead to feelings of resentment, frustration, and burnout. And for me, I'll add in anger. For instance, you might say yes to every request, even when you're overwhelmed, or you might neglect your own interests, hobbies, to support someone else. These behaviors often stem from a fear of rejection or abandonment, leading to cycles where one's self-worth is entirely dependent on someone else. Healing from codependency starts with self-awareness. When we recognize that these behaviors are learned and can be unlearned, our life is transformed. So here are some practical steps to help you on your journey. First, practice self-care. Prioritize your own needs and well-being. This can mean setting aside time for hobbies, exercise, or simply relaxing. For me, it's meditation and creativity. Second, establish healthy boundaries. Learn to say no when you need to and understand that it's okay to put yourself first. And third, seek professional help. Therapy or other healing modalities such as Reiki or past life regression therapy can provide valuable insights and strategies for overcoming codependent behaviors. Support groups can also offer a sense of community and a shared experience. Believe me, you're not alone in your journey. Lastly, focusing on building your self-esteem so increases our sense of independence and self-worth. So engaging in activities that make you feel confident and independent, and celebrate your achievements no matter how small. I often forget to do this. In my blog, I highlight that mindfulness practices and journaling can be particularly effective in helping individuals recognize and shift their codependent patterns. So, here's one of the stories that I experienced in codependency and my healing journey from that. I grew up in a home in which I saw my behavior relied on what my parents thought. And I was pleased, they were pleased with me, and I was praised when I got good grades, when I acted a certain way. So what did I do? I equated good grades and praise to love. Well, then that became a codependent behavior. If I didn't get it, I didn't feel worthy. My self-esteem dropped, and I didn't feel ultimately loved. So my happiness depended upon their behaviors, their approval, their validation. Now, let's hear from some experts in the field. Psychologists and therapists who specialize in codependency can offer a deeper insight into its psychological aspects. Dr. Jane Smith explains. Dr. Jane Smith explains codependency often stems from childhood experiences where one learned to prioritize others' needs over their own as a survival mechanism. Addressing these root causes can lead to profound healing. So, as I just mentioned in my own personal story, a lot of my codependent challenges have stemmed from childhood. Another one I'll mention is that I was very aware of how those around me felt. You could say I was a highly sensitive child or an empathic child. I was very sensitive to others' feelings, and so in order for me to feel safe in my body, I needed to help them feel safe. That's another codependent behavior, trying to control our situation or the people around us so that we can feel safe. Also, experts suggest that practical tips can help identify and address codependent behaviors. One effective strategy is to practice mindfulness, which can help individuals become more aware of their own needs and emotions. For me personally, I didn't even know what I wanted or needed and was so disconnected from my emotions that mindfulness-based practices helped me come back into connection with myself. Professional guidance can help us untangle the deeply ingrained patterns of codependency and build healthier relationships. Healing from codependency is a journey, and it's important to remember to be patient with yourself. You deserve to take care of your own needs and to feel valued for who you are. You are not alone in this process, and many have walked this path and found peace and fulfillment on the other side. So thank you for joining today, and if you want to learn more, head over to my blog at www.rootedinworth.org/blog. Have a wonderful day.